Hello and welcome to my review of Young Justice number 14, an issue that is written by Brian Michael Bendis and David F. Walker with art by John Timms and Michael Oeming. And this book has really drug on. You end up having a million characters in it. We're still not sure how the characters know each other. And each issue, instead of giving us answers, it seems that Brian Michael Bendis seems to cloud the issues that we already have, just keeps adding on to them, keep going. And one of the things with Brian Michael Bendis' books, obviously, if you read them, you know that they are full of dialogue. He's very dialogue heavy in his scripts. And then you add the amount of characters that are showing up here, and it does kind of get a little overwhelming. But last issue ended with Bart, Impulse, going and getting the other Young Justice, the real Young Justice, as Aqualad says. So when we go into this issue, we actually spend a little bit of time of seeing him recruit them. And we start out, though, with kind of the standard splash page that gives us all the background, things like that. Also pretty much spells out we don't know how these characters all know each other. And we're not going to find that out this issue either. Though, again, it gets very clouded because you start off with Impulse going off to get Sideways. And Sideways was in the New Age of Heroes. It was a book that was co-written by Dan DiDio. And ended up, if you're reading the Flash Forward book and didn't read the Sideways book, that's where Tempest Fuginot kind of hung out for a while in the Sideways book. And the book got a little convoluted, but I do like Derek. I do like Sideways. But when Impulse goes there to get him, you start getting these weird things again where Sideways says, dude, I'm a huge fan. And he knows him as Impulse. Okay, well, Impulse hasn't been around. And this is where we're going to get this idea where Brian Michael Bendis kind of twists and turns, uses a bunch of continuities. He's not using the current continuity, but sometimes he even screws around and messes up other continuities as well. But Sideways, in my mind, should not know who Impulse is, even though Impulse is back now. But he spent time on our Earth barely, a week? Because they ended up being in Gemworld. Then they were in the multiverse, Earth 3. Came back now. So where is Sideways a big fan of Impulse? Whatever, I do like Derek, so I'm glad he's in a book here. And even though there's just so many characters going. So he ends up grabbing Sideways, which will be used because he does end up making dimensional portals. Well, then he goes off and we're going to get Spoiler. Spoiler here is supposedly fighting her father, Cluemaster. In this continuity, Cluemaster's dead. And I don't know what any of those guys, none of them look like Cluemaster to me. So this is something new. This is something different. As I said, in this continuity, Cluemaster is dead. But you end up having Impulse and Sideways showing up, grabbing Spoiler, and taking her. And I love Spoiler, so I'm glad she's back in this book, even though when she first showed up, it didn't even seem like Brian Michael Bendis seemed to remember that she was Spoiler. She seemed to not remember the whole Spoiler thing, but she joins in. They go off to get Aqualad. Now, again, we're going to get confused, again, because Aqualad sees Bart and says, hey, Kid Flash. And then he says, wait, you know me? And you have Aqualad Jackson say, yeah, from the internet. Well, what internet now has Bart as Kid Flash? He's Impulse, Kid Flash. There is a Kid Flash in this continuity. Wallace West is Kid Flash. So why would the internet have anything with Bart Allen in this reality? Have him as Kid Flash? Why would they even have this? It's a convoluted mess of continuities. And you keep getting Brian Michael Bendis swearing that he's going to tell us what's going on. Hey, I'm going to let you know what these things are. Eventually, we even see at the end of this, you end up having Dr. Glory now saying, I'm going to tell you how all this goes on and how you all know. I really think that he was just sitting around hoping this timeline stuff with the generations and things would open up so that he could just say, it was just that, and not have to get an explanation. So we're going to have to see if, in fact, he does show us or tell us next issue what is going on. I don't know how a lot of this can make sense.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Nothing does happen, but I love Jackson. I love Aqualad, so he is going to be involved here. And it's just like, let's go. We're going to go through a portal and get going here. And yeah, I don't mind the end result of having these characters, because right there, 3 characters that I really do enjoy, but not as much as I enjoy Arrowette. And you have Sissy King-Jones here, and she is an awesome character. And this one is not messed up per se, even though, you know, she's in this continuity. How does she know Connor? All this stuff. But she is retired. She's not going to do Young Justice, but she will. And the best part of this book, I think this is the best part of the issue, is when Bart says it's Connor, and then she just says, let's get my stuff and go. And that is pretty cool. I like Sissy. I love Arrowette, so I'm glad she's in the book as well. But we have so many characters in this book because it had become and still is a dumping ground of the Wonder Comics books. We have Dial H, Wonder Twins, Naomi. And so with all of that, some of the characters, Ginny Hex, Kelly Quintella, the Teen Lantern, that we had at the beginning of the series, there's just not enough time or space for us to learn more about them, and I'm interested in them. I really want more of the Teen Lantern. I want to know about Kelly, but we just don't have enough room, and now we're adding more characters. Well, we go up to Skitaris, and here is where you have Warlord, you have Connor fighting the Green Menelishi in Skitaris, and I don't know if anybody cares about the Skitaris stuff. You have Michael Oeming art here, and I don't like it at all. It ends up throwing a wrench into all of my reading, and really, it's just to get Connor out of the main deal into Skitaris so that you can end up having a team gather to go get him. And I'm just not that interested in Skitaris and Warlord. And then even by the end, it's very wonky. But we're trying to figure out the Green Menelishi ended up attacking them with a dual-bladed kryptonite sword. And even Connor, like, how'd you get the kryptonite? How'd you know? How'd you know I was going to be here? All these things. Well, we find out that Dr. Glory, she's behind it all. She ended up giving the Green Menelishi the sword. She's also made trans-dimensional communication. She's involved in so many things, except maybe getting away from Young Justice by the end. But she's like, yeah, it was me. I kind of don't like you. You're not really a Superman. You're kind of a combination of a Luthor and a Superman. And also, you just messed up my stuff with your temper tantrums and all that. So I'm just going to have this guy kill you. Well, you end up going back to our heroes who have shown up in New Mexico, even though a couple issues ago, you ended up having them say, hey, we got to get to New Mexico. And then you had Wonder Girl go, you're right, let's go to Nevada. It was just a complete mess up. Well, now they're there. And here you go. This is just a page. And if this is going to be a trial, and on trial is there too many characters in this book? And here's Exhibit A, B, C, D, 1, 2, and 3. Because there's too many characters in this book. You end up having this top bit with all the characters talking and going. But the problem is you don't have enough room for them to say anything worthwhile. They say catchphrases. They try to make jokes. They don't say anything. And then you have Bart show up with the other characters as well. So now you just have way too many characters to actually get substance from any of them. And then, monsters come out of rifts in the sky and start falling to Earth, where they have to end up attacking. Sideways says, it isn't me. I didn't do this. This can be fun. It looks fun. I love John Tim's art. I don't like Michael Oeming's art. I love John Tim's art, though. The problem is, can you have as much fun as you want when it's this crowded, when it's this condensed? There's so many things and so many people and characters going on that your head is spinning instead of actually sitting back and enjoying the ride. In my mind, this is me. You may be different, but to me, it's just too much going on. You end up going, and just as a case here, you end up, this is going to be Exhibit F. You end up having Naomi in the left panel here. And she says, back off, it's still my first week. She's saying that to a monster that has come out of a rift. Naomi, who Brian Michael Bendis pushed as the thing that was going to change the DC universe forever, in her miniseries, which it didn't because we barely knew even her power set by the end. Then she goes off to Action Comics. She goes, now she's in Young Justice. Since she has arrived in Young Justice, the only thing that she will say is, I just got my powers. I just got my powers yesterday. Now we're a week later. I just got my powers last week. She doesn't say anything else. This is the catchphrases. This is what I'm talking about, where you don't have there. Wonder Twins get to activate. Little wonky in what the Wonder Twins powers actually are. And you're going to have all these characters get their little teeny moment, but is it enough to really get involved with them when Arrowette's just there shooting an arrow? I want to know more. I want to see the interactions between the characters, but you never get it because it's too crowded. You also have like little things that are a nitpick with me, where Jackson Hyde, Aqualad, ends up getting upset that they're in New Mexico. And it's like, I don't do deserts. He's from Arizona. He grew up in Arizona. Yeah, he didn't like it, but he's used to that. But yeah, there's Kelly Quintella, Teen Lantern, and she just says, where's Bart? What happened to the effing plan? Nobody gets anything but little tidbits there. So you end up, though, where Bart, while all this is going on, he runs off and figures out what is going on with Dr. Glory. You see him here going, and it's a nice little layout panel. There's no real dialogue. There's a little narration. So you end up having John Timms kick butt again. He finds out what is happening. You get to see Aqualad use his powers. Everybody's going, but it really does end up with the team trying to get Connor out of Skitaris, and now that they have Sideways, they can, and it's just in time, because as we go back, and again, the Michael Oeming art kind of is jolting to me, that transition. You go, and the Green Manalishi is about to kill Connor, even though Warlord, pretty much his defense, Warlord, is, please don't, you shouldn't do it. I mean, cut him a break. He seems special. He's a cool kid, right? Please. And, the Green Manalishi's like, I don't know, I'm not going to hear any of that. And one point, Warlord's even like, well, then you're a jerk. But then you end up having Bart and Sideways and Cassie come in, Wonder Girl come in, and end up grabbing Connor. They end up coming in and saving him, pretty much beat up the Green Manalishi and his guys. Warlord's helping them out. They grab Connor and go off, and so it ends with Warlord and all the Skitaris nonsense that only was there so that Connor was not on Earth ends with Warlord like, yep, did I tell that kid he's never lost as long as he was with the people that love him? Yep, I told him he'll be fine. Oh, I did forget to ask him how the Shield ended. Damn. Now, is that a joke that anybody gets? Not even gets. Is it a joke? I mean, really, the idea that Warlord, the big punchline to end Warlord's time there is, I didn't ask how the Shield ended. I don't get it. Because I don't get it, because Warlord pretty much got to Skitaris right after the Vietnam War. The Shield TV show did not start until 2002. Please, get things right. Don't throw in a stupid joke that doesn't hit with anybody and then just ruins everything. This is the sort of thing. It's always just that much too much. Can't take it. Can't take it. So it ends then, though, with 800 members of Young Justice now going and confronting Dr. Glory, who really should have been packing her bags and getting the heck out of New Mexico instead of using her trans-dimensional telephone to talk and taunt Connor. They end up there and said, hey, you're an evil ass hat. All the dialogue. And then she ends up freaking out. Oh, my. Can we make a deal? I can tell you why you don't all remember each other. I can tell you what really happened to Young Justice. I'm like, really? I am done. I am so done. Oh, goodness gracious. And just the idea that they don't know how some of them remember each other. Some of them don't. This is issue 14. We have spent over a year on this book. And instead of giving us any information about how this team knows each other, we have gone to Gemworld. We have gone to Earth 3. We have then gone to Skataris. I mean, really, is this a roadmap to the least liked places in the DCU? I mean, there's a joke, people. But yeah, and the Shield. I mean, the Shield. Yes, so all of this just ends up with me giving this an FU5. That's a special score on the podcast. I just can't take it. I love John Tim's art. I really, really do. The art is fun. The characters in this book should be fun. It is a mess. It's an avalanche of nonsense on top of just convoluted Brian Michael Bendis sing-song dialogue, catchphrases. Nothing is of substance. You never get anything that really sits and makes you think, man, that's clever or that's cool or whatever. He just is adding character after character after character, hoping that that is going to fool everybody into not realizing there's no story going on, really, for all this time and not even getting the information. I mean, earlier in the series, he even played games where he had a mention of Doc Samson from Marvel. I mean, please, you're at DC now. Learn the characters, learn this continuity, and stop with your nonsense. And this is why he drives me nuts. This is why I'm doing a video now. I'm yelling, and my family is wondering what's going on. I can't take it, but here we go. That's it. Yeah, FU5, but thank you. I'm going to calm down now that I can say why and when and how, where are the weird science, team of everything podcast. I don't even know what's going on. Just go to the description in this video. You'll find a lot of links to all these things, the podcast, the websites, DC, Marvel, all those things. And if you like the video, and hear me lose my mind, though I don't lose it that much. I mean, really, how can you lose something you never had, right? Yes, you can subscribe to this channel, like this video, do whatever. But thanks, everybody. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. It's therapeutic sometimes when we do these, but thank you, and I'll talk to you later.